The secret layer between dream and deep sleep. A journey into the forgotten passage of awareness where the soul rests without thought. Opening transmission. There is a space you pass through every night, but almost no one remembers it. It is not the dreaming mind, nor is it the deep sleep that erases all sense of self. It is a secret layer between the two. A threshold so subtle, so silent, that even attention itself falls asleep before it can notice it. And yet, this layer is perhaps the most sacred state available to a human being outside of meditation. It is the place where your identity dissolves, but your being still exists, where there is no world, but there is still presence, where no images arise, and yet something watches. This is the forgotten doorway between form and formlessness, between dream and pure stillness. And in this transmission, we will go there together, not through sleep, but through stillness, not through dreams, but through awakened descent into the sacred space just before all lights go out. 1. What is this layer, really? Every night, as you fall asleep, your awareness crosses three main territories. First, there is the world of mental drift. Images, impressions, stories, memories, what we call dreaming. This is where most people float unconsciously, believing it is sleep itself. Next, when the dreams dissolve, you enter the deep sleep state. In deep sleep, all imagery disappears, all identity disappears. Even the sense of I am goes completely offline. But in between these two lies something almost no one speaks of, a delicate layer of awareness that exists without content, a transparent presence, neither dreaming nor sleeping, still, yet not unconscious, empty, yet somehow awake. This is not a mental state. It is a pure field of awareness that exists as the final flicker before full surrender into sleep. Yogic science has known of it for millennia, and those who enter it consciously do not just rest deeper, they begin to remember who they are beneath all layers of perception. 2. The mind cannot perceive it, only awareness can. Here's why it remains secret. The mind can only track content, thoughts, dreams, visuals, ideas. When all of these dissolve, the mind believes it has gone to sleep, but awareness does not sleep. Even in deep sleep, there is an ongoing presence, but the ego has no access to it. So this middle layer, this passage between dreaming and deep sleep, is not seen by the thinking mind. It can only be recognized by pure presence. It is like trying to notice the moment the sun dips beneath the horizon. If you're not fully still, you'll miss it. If you're too slow, it's already past. It demands a different kind of perception. This is not mystical poetry. It's direct energetic architecture. And learning to enter this passage is one of the most powerful awakenings a seeker can experience. 3. How to find it without falling asleep. To locate this layer, you must recreate the transition into sleep, but stay awake as you descend. The most potent practice is to lie completely still at night, eyes closed, body relaxed, but with no goal of falling asleep. Instead, place your attention on the moment when thoughts begin to dissolve, when images become vague, when the boundary between inside and outside starts to blur. You'll feel a gentle pull, as if something is tugging your awareness into a well. Stay with that pull, but do not collapse into it. Let the body soften. Let the breath become so subtle you can barely feel it. And then something happens. You enter a space with no images, no sounds, no self-dialogue, but you are still there, barely. You are not dreaming. You are not gone. You are simply present. In the purest sense, this is the secret layer between dream and deep sleep. 4. Why this layer matters so much? Because it is the natural doorway to the soul. It is the last place you are still you before everything dissolves, and the first place you reappear when coming out of deep sleep. It is the bridge, the threshold, and in the yogic understanding, it is often called the gateway of liberation during rest. When a person can enter this space with awareness, not only do they sleep more deeply, they begin to carry presence into death. Because this layer closely resembles the early stages of leaving the body. To train in this state is to begin preparing for the moment of final release. It's not dark. It's not empty. It's vibrantly still. And that stillness heals more than any medicine. Scientific parallels to the state. Modern neuroscience defines 3 basic stages of sleep: light sleep, REM, where dreams occur, and deep sleep. But just before you drop into deep sleep, EEG scans show an unusual window where alpha and theta waves begin to synchronize. It's not yet unconscious, but the brain has stopped reacting to external input. Some researchers call this transitional silence, but it remains mostly unstudied because it's so brief. You fall into it for a few seconds, then vanish into delta wave sleep. But advanced meditators can hold attention in that band, and they report an experience that is profoundly regenerative. Not just rest, but reset. Not dreaming, but dissolving. A gateway not of sleep, but of return. 6. What you'll feel when you enter it consciously. There is no sense of location. Time stops, not slows, stops. The body disappears. You may feel like you are floating, but without direction. There are no visuals, but there is a brightness that is not seen with the eyes. You do not feel emotion, but a gentle equanimity pervades everything. You are no longer the observer. There is just observing. This is not mystical language. It is the closest we can come to describing an experience prior to experience. And here's the miracle. If you can become familiar with this space, you begin to realize it is the same space present at the deepest points of meditation. It is not just a sleep state, it is a universal layer of the human field, and it can be accessed while sitting, lying down, or in advanced states of waking stillness. 7. Advanced practice descending into the layer without sleep. To truly master this passage, try the following at night. Lie down flat, hands gently resting on the lower belly or at your sides. Close your eyes and become aware of your breath, not controlling it, just watching. When thoughts arise, do not follow them. Let them pass like smoke in a breeze. Now, begin to let the body fall asleep, but keep awareness awake. The trick is this. Let the body fall asleep first, while the mind stays resting but alert. This balance point, where the body is limp, the mind is still, and yet awareness remains, is the gate. At some point, you will feel a soft collapse. A kind of shift that feels like your eye just took off its mask. You will be nowhere, but it will not be frightening. It will feel like coming home. Stay there. No grasping, no naming, just be. Even a few seconds here can transform your nervous system. Even brief contact with this layer can dissolve years of subtle agitation. And over time, if you train in this space, it becomes easier to enter during waking meditation. 8. Why so few remember it? Because awareness is rarely trained to watch without clinging. Because the world never taught us that this space even exists. And because our culture worships content, not silence. But the yogic path is one of subtraction, not accumulation. And this layer is perhaps the most sacred subtraction of all. It is not something you can own. It is not something you can describe to others with precision. It is something you must remember from within. And once you do, everything else begins to soften. You are no longer afraid of sleep. You are no longer afraid of stillness. and slowly you become less afraid of death because you have touched what exists beneath all endings. The secret layer between dream and deep sleep is not a fantasy. It is not fiction or metaphor or wishful mysticism. It is a real, tangible layer of awareness that every human crosses, but only the still ones remember. Only the silent ones see it on the way down. And when they do, they realize that every night the soul touches something eternal. Even if the mind forgets, let yourself descend with awareness, not to sleep, but to the edge of sleep, to the place just before forgetting. And there, stay a while. You will not find a name there, but you will find what existed before names. You will not find thoughts there, but you will discover what gives rise to all thought. This is the sacred layer that unites the spiritual and the physiological, that bridges form and formlessness, that reveals you are not a person dreaming of silence. You are silence dreaming of being a person. May you cross the threshold awake tonight. If this transmission helped you remember the space behind sleep, if it stirred a memory you didn't know you had, subscribe for more transmissions into the secret layers of awareness. And if you feel called to support this work, becoming a channel member helps these teachings reach the sincere. Next transmission preview. In our next episode, we reveal the mystery of the right side exit, why yogis leave the body this way at death, a transmission on the ancient energetic science of conscious departure, pranic direction, and why the right side has always been the chosen gate of the liberated.